How's it going, guys? It's Foxxy here, and I'm going to bring you another controller review. And up this time we have the Afterglow AP1 wired controller by PDP. I spent 20 bucks on this one, so it's about $10 more than the Snakebite controller that I previously reviewed. Now, like the Snakebite, they do have a version that comes wireless, but I really don't care either way. Let's take a quick look at the box. I'm not sure how well you're going to pick up the text because my camera is not good at all. Not the worst, but it's not that great. Let's pick up the text from the top to the bottom. Let's read that off. New, more vibrant colors add a new dimension to gaming. See, well, I guess if you're going to stare at your controller when you're playing, but I don't see how that would be useful. Next up, 3 modes of Afterglow lighting for any mood. On, off, and vibration. I'll talk about the vibration mode later on. Let's move on here. Hardcore gamer control layout for the competitive edge. See, that one's kind of confusing to me because it's just the 360 layout. So, I don't know if they're trying to say that the PS3 layout is not competitive or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And it comes with 4 other colors. Orange. I can't tell if that's red or pink. A little colorblind here. Purple and blue. I got the green version. I would have gotten either the purple or the blue, but they didn't have it. They only had green. So yeah, whatever. Alright, so moving on to this controller. It's a little bit bigger than the PlayStation 3 controller, but it's much smaller than the 360s. It definitely feels a lot more durable than the Snakebite controller. I don't think it'll break anytime soon. The buttons are great. They work perfectly. The trigger buttons are made so that your fingers don't slide off when you're like holding the button down. But I never had this problem to begin with on the other controller, so it doesn't matter to me at all. One thing that's kind of weird to me is that the face buttons are smaller than the DualShocks. Like, let's see if I can show you here, if you can tell. But they're smaller. I'm not sure why they did that, but I never noticed it while playing, so it doesn't really matter at all. The analogs are like the 360s. They are concave and offset. I'm not really a fan of this style. I love convex and onset analogs like the PlayStation 3 has, but it's just a personal preference. Also, the controller has this design on the back, and I guess it's supposed to make your hands rest more comfortably. Like, you see how there's like a bump out there. At first I did like this, but after about 30 minutes, it just wasn't working for me, and it ended up starting to get a little irritating. So it's like, alright, I can use this for a little bit at a time before my hands start to hurt after a while. Now let's show you the worst thing about this controller before I get on to the lighting effects. Now, the problem I have with this controller is the same problem I had with the Snakebite controller, and that being the analogs. While they're not as bad as the Snakebite, they're still pretty horrible, and the problem relates to the dead zone. For example, if I push one of the analogs like a tiny bit to the left, it would be the exact same if I pushed it all the way. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but the sensitivity on the analogs is horrible. And I'll show you an example right now on an actual gameplay of what I'm talking about.
So here's an example of just how bad the analogs are. First up, I'll show the Afterglow controller, and then the Sony DualShock, and I'm positive that you'll be able to tell the difference here. It makes aiming at even close range kinda difficult, so imagine just trying to snipe a guy at long range. It's, for the most part, useless. This pretty much ruins the controller for games where you need, the analogs to be precise, like shooters, racing games, I don't know, maybe platformers. I think you get the point here.
So finally, before I give my final thoughts, here's the light feature. And I'll give you a warning right before I turn off the lights. Alright? And as the box states, it has 3 modes: on, vibration, and off. What vibration does is kinda disappointing to me. All it does is turn on the LEDs each time the controller vibrates and turns them off for a second or two after. I was thinking that maybe the LEDs would go from dim to bright depending on how long the vibration lasts or something like that. I don't know, it's not really a big deal, but it's something that I don't see myself ever using. And I'm going to turn off the lights right now, so fair warning, it's going to be much brighter than what you could probably tell right now, depending on how well the camera is picking up the brightness. So yeah, the lighting effects work great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, so there's really not much left to say about it. So now I'm going to just turn back on the lights and go with my final thoughts. Alright, so having said that, the controller for 20 bucks is miles better than the Snakebite. However, it's still nowhere near the quality of the DualShocks. My main complaints are that the analogs are terrible and the controller handle design is kinda uncomfortable after a while, and that could just be how I hold my controllers. So if you play games where you don't need to rely on precise movements with the analogs and don't mind the handle design, then this controller is actually not bad at all. The buttons work great, it's durable, and yeah, the lighting effect is gimmicky, but you really don't have to use it if you don't want to. So would I recommend it? Unless you don't plan on playing the type of games I mentioned, then maybe, but I'd still say save up your money for something better. So that's the review. Thanks for watching, and if I keep making these controller reviews in the future, I think what I'm going to do is I'll keep getting controllers that are more expensive than the last. So for example, the Snakebite was $10, the Afterglow was $20, and the next one could be $5 or $10 more expensive, just to see how much money it would take to get a controller that's, you know, on par or better than the DualShock. If anyone has any recommendations, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll see if I can possibly get a hold of a controller. Thanks for watching.